Caitlin, what happened in court?
Well, a startling discussion. Less than 1 minute of time passed with no silence in this courtroom as the judge was able to ask the question and got the Justice Department to admit the final indictment that James Comey now faces, the former FBI director. It was never shown to the full grand jury in this courthouse, and they did not approve it in full. They had voted down indicting Comey because they had been asked to approve 3 different charges against him. That indictment was a no from the grand jury, and then there was no further discussion with the prosecutors to bring about the indictment Comey now faces. I want to lay this out a little bit more because I'm sure there will be many legal analysts to talk about this. The judge didn't make any final determinations about the case, and there will be more arguments about this. But what happened in court was that Judge Nachmanoff, after there were many arguments about Donald Trump directing the Justice Department, whether Lindsay Halligan, the prosecutor here, had acted on her own accord to decide to bring this indictment against Comey, Judge Nachmanoff, he began asking the prosecutor to explain why the documents in this case look the way this is, why there was missing time in the grand jury transcript, and things got very intense very quickly. They put on the husher. Both defense team and the prosecution team started whispering to each other very vigorously, and then the judge asked the question. The operative indictment in this case, that document was never shown to the entire grand jury. That is when Tyler Lemons, the prosecutor, standing next to Lindsay Halligan, the U.S. attorney who was also seated at a counsel table, says, standing in front of you right now, no. There was silence in the courtroom. Judge Nachmanoff sat back in his chair. He looked down. He flipped pages that were in front of them. And then he asked again and stopped Tyler Lemons from answering, called Lindsay Halligan up to the podium. And she also confirmed, no, Your Honor, that the foreperson in open court was the person who had signed the final indictment against Comey. This was the very end of the arguments, the full set of arguments. This was like an additional thing the judge wanted to talk about. And so right after this, the defense counsel for James Comey, Michael Dreeben, he stood up and he said, it appears the operative indictment in this case was never shown to the grand jury and was never returned. That is the conclusion that they should draw, at least on the defense. He's trying to argue to the judge that this is an invalid case and should be outright dismissed. There's going to be more arguments in writing over this by today at 5. That was what the judge began to set up. But we are going to see how this plays out because this is a bit of new information that was very unexpected today and really changes the entire tenor of our understanding of this case and the fight that James Comey's team can bring to it as they try to get it tossed out of this federal courthouse.